Welcome Average Joe Nation from around the globe. Props to you for staying up to date and keeping in the know. Fantasy football, man, very soon you'll reign. The knowledge that these three guys have, man, it is insane. Fantasy football talk, hateful eight, they wear the crown. Hold it down, Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli, hold it down. Pulling up to LB Design Studio, we're getting loud. Season 2, headphones on, red light go, break it down.
Welcome back to the Hateful Eight Fantasy Football Podcast Halloween edition. I'm Captain America. With me as always, Thanos.
I am Thanos.
And just go. Who are you?
Come on, you weaklings.
Thor. Oh my gosh. Well, that went well. So today's episode, we're talking about the Thursday Night Primer. Week 8 is officially over. Unfortunately, some people's teams are horrible, as you'll find in the Trimboli's Meatball of the Week.
Hey.
Somebody's teams may have fielded every one of those guys. So
I only fielded one this week.
Well, that's good. That
I still managed to beat you. Just putting that out there.
With a Jameis Winston half of a effort performance, and I still lost.
Hot garbage.
Indeed. So, anyway, so we're going to talk general news, some injuries, the trades that went through. And as always, don't forget to follow the show's Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram account.
Fantasy News and Notes.
All right. Fantasy News and Notes presented by Body Armor Super Drink. Superior hydration for today's athlete. Check them out at drinkbodyarmor.com or your local convenience store. I know I missed that part of the intro, so apologize for people. First one out the gate, Giants end up signing now journeyman, as we will call him, or nomad, wide receiver Corey Coleman. Is there anybody else from the Browns that they could cut and potentially or trade over or ship over to the Giants that may kick him out of that spot? Because pretty much everybody else is taking his job that were previously on the Browns at one point.
Dude, it's just bad.
He's trash. Besides OBJ and Barkley, nobody else on that offense is worth anything.
It's perfect this news came out today because he is dressed up as a wide receiver now.
He's trying to act like he's an NFL player, but he's actually not. Free agent wide receiver Terrell Pryor officially signs with the Buffalo Bills. So, is he going to try to play quarterback or?
My thoughts exactly.
Better than Peterman.
Yeah. Who's scheduled to start?
At least he's mobile. He's at least you could potentially use him to be a little bit more mobile with LaShawn McCoy, who finally actually had a good game when they used him the right way.
He had a good game catching.
That's what I was going to say. They
he had
used
13 yards rushing on like double-digit attempts.
Well, they also had Ivory actually do what he does best, which is the bruiser backside, and they used LaShawn McCoy as more of the pass-catching back, and it worked for fantasy purposes.
I was going to say, if you're a fantasy owner of McCoy, you got to love the fact that he was used all over the field. They tried to use him any way they could. If they let him pass, I think next week or this week.
Yeah, so we'll have to see what they end up using Terrell Pryor for. If later in the week or on Sunday, they're like, hey, he's going to be the quarterback. But from everything we're hearing at this moment, Nathan Peterman's going to be the quarterback there in Buffalo for the game. So
I think Pryor and Coleman are trying to see how many teams they can play for in 2 years. Who can play for more?
I'm sure there's probably a world record out there that they could accomplish. So Buccaneers end up benching quarterback Jameis Winston for none other than Ryan Fitzmagic himself.
He should have never been benched in the first place.
True.
No. He had a bad first half against, who was it?
Pittsburgh.
Yep.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. And then they played the Bears and ran into a buzzsaw when Khalil Mack was on his little tear there for 4 games. They went to Winston because he was coming off suspension. That was a terrible choice.
I was going to say, I think that the Buccaneers' hand was kind of forced to play Jameis Winston once Fitzmagic struggled a little bit, because I'm sure money-wise, as well as they wanted to give the guy an honest chance, which he's had how many chances now? 100, it seems like.
Too many.
So going forward, I have a hard time believing that he did not get traded. Winston did not. So my best guess is they probably will not. They'll try to maybe move him in the offseason, because I don't see them bringing him back as their starting quarterback, and he's not going to want to be the backup to Fitzmagic.
No, and Jameis's problem is he turns the ball over way too much.
Right.
There's no way. That's why I don't see him be a viable starting quarterback the rest of the year or even from here on out.
Right. I was going to say, and I put it in our group text, I said the comment that I said, I wonder if someone has just not done him a justice and sit him down and say, Jameis, dude, you're horrible right now. You suck. Where are you seeing out there? I mean, My guess is he rode through Florida State on his athletic ability that he's got, which most above average talented guys do in general in college, and then they get to the NFL and either they craft their game into being an elite guy or they just kind of ride out that athletic talent. Unfortunately, when you get to the NFL, everyone is above athletic average. So I'm just saying, I just think that he's never. I just think he's just hoping that his. I know you.
I can't.
Try
not to look at him.
His God-given talent, he's hoping that would just ride out for his NFL career instead of trying to actually make himself better. Because there's no way. He's just gotten worse every year, I feel like.
My thing is, you got Mike Evans, Godwin, Humphreys, Brait, Howard.
D-Jax.
All these guys. Like, he should not be this bad.
No, because literally Fitzmagic steps in and just lights up the scoreboard. So you're telling me it's the exact same offense, and it's literally just swapping out the quarterback, yet he's playing that bad. That's where I feel like somebody just needs to do him a justice and sit him down and say, hey, if you're not going to get better, you're not going to have a career. And I'm just curious if somebody's told him this at any point since he's been drafted.
I don't know. He's been in the league long enough. There was some even comeback routes where he was throwing the ball late. They were already out of their break. I mean, he just can't be doing these things.
Right.
He's telegraphing his passes. It's not good.
So, and then we got Cleveland Browns fire Hugh Jackson, the head coach. Now, on the same day, Tyronn Lue got fired from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and
Rightfully so.
Right. The Browns did the same thing in firing their head coach, and then Cleveland Cavaliers were like, "That's all you got?" And the front office for the Browns are like, "Hold my beer here, Todd Haley, you're gone." So
I'm actually surprised with the Todd Haley, in a way. I think Hugh Jackson blamed Todd Haley for a lot of that. I think it was more on Hugh Jackson than Haley.
Right. Todd Haley has shown when he was in the Pittsburgh offense that he could be successful. And let's be honest, Mike Tomlin is a defensive mindset coach. He's not an offensive guy. So you've got Todd Haley, who is an offensive guy, and it worked. Hugh Jackson, unfortunately, is a offensive-minded coach, and you had a good offensive coordinator. And unfortunately, the offensive coordinator had been a head coach at one point and was successful in Pittsburgh. So I think, honestly, egos pretty much, they just butted heads is what it ended up coming back to. And I think that they both were trying to be the alpha male, and unfortunately, they're both gone. So neither one of them is now.
Well, I think if Baker Mayfield was showing more progress or playing a little better, I don't think Todd Haley's job would have been in jeopardy. But the problem is, I think he came out that first game when he came in for, I'm drawing a blank now. Tyrod, thank you.
Tyrod.
And he lit it up, and then he's kind of just been okay the rest of the year. He's not been great. There's been no big progression for him, and I think that's the problem here. I mean, you spent a big, first-round pick on this guy, and Todd Haley was supposed to be there to groom him. I don't think he did his job, so that's why he's out the door.
Right. Well, I'm wondering how much of Todd Haley being allowed to groom, because I'll be honest with you, I truly believe that I guess it would have been putting Baker in earlier had Todd Haley got his wish, because I think Hugh was trying to be respectful to the veteran of Tyrod, and I mean, how many games did they go through? They were just struggling offensively, and Baker gave them a spark. Now, Baker has still given them a spark offensively. They have struggled. The defense has kind of gotten beat at times, but unfortunately, I mean, the offense has struggled as well, and it's not so much, I don't believe it was the play calling offensively. I could be wrong, but their kicking situation is horrible. You can't tell me you can't find a local soccer player in an indoor soccer league to come in and do a better job than what they found.
Thanos will do it.
There you go.
See? Just sign him up.
So, anyways, just like that. So now they end up making current defensive coordinator Greg Williams the intern head coach. So,
who has head coaching experience.
Right,
so
also.
I like it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I heard the rumor that his son was potentially going to come on to be like some sort of defensive assistant to kind of take more of the reins off of him so he could focus on being the head coach at the time being. So,
and they promoted Freddie Kitchens, who was the running back coach, up to be the OC. So
it's going to be interesting.
I just hope they're fantasy relevant. That's it.
Yeah. So, and then the Rams head coach, Sean McVay, stated that wide receiver Cooper Kupp has a very good chance to play this weekend, so definitely a game-time decision.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's, from everything I was reading, what he was saying is that whatever you're going to call it, not the rehabilitation, but basically like his healing process has gone a lot better than what they kind of thought, and it's been accelerated, so they're going to I think they're going to test the waters with him and kind of push him every couple days to see how far he can really handle the overall like workouts and whatnot. So if he's able to go, he is automatically a start for me. So
I agree.
Absolutely, yeah.
I just wouldn't push the issue. I mean,
no,
they're
if
a
he's
good
not,
team. I'm not saying they don't need Kupp. They don't.
and you
they
got a
don't need to
bye
worry.
coming
Yeah,
up.
exactly. And they don't have to worry about. I mean, this game, win or lose. I mean, it's not going to affect the
No.
outcome of their season. So
No, they're a lock for the playoffs. So
Yep.
I mean, don't injure one of your guys right now. Going for a playoff push.
true.
Right. So, all right, and then the trades this week that finally kind of came through. There was one early on, and I mean the defensive guys you had. Fowler ended up getting traded from Jacksonville to
Rams.
The Rams, which okay, I mean that's good for the Rams. And then the Redskins actually made a trade for Clinton Dix from Green Bay, which is a good thing for them.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
because now you'll have.
Swearinger and Clinton Dix back there.
Right, which is a nasty combo to have back there. So I'm not sure why Green Bay let him go. He's not been horrible, but let's be honest, that he's probably one of the stronger guys talent-wise in that secondary for Green Bay. So I'm not sure why they let him go.
He's coming off I think is his final year. Or
I was just about to ask, is that what it's
contract
money related?
purposes.
Yep.
he's got a 5th-year option, I think, next year because I think he was a first-round pick. But I don't think they wanted to re-sign him, so that was one of the reasons they got rid of him.
Fair enough. So, and then Golden Tate traded to the Eagles, which I think that pretty much knocks Aguilar any and all fantasy relevance out the door, unfortunately. And then Demaryius Thomas to the Texans, which I think that's a good thing for Demaryius. It gives him a new scenery. I think that helps him where he doesn't have to be the guy. In Denver, he has had to be the guy. I know that Emmanuel Sanders has essentially been the fantasy points or the most volume and whatnot, but it's the same thing in Minnesota. More often than not, Stephon Diggs is lined up as the one, and that's where he draws the best defensive back, where Thielen kind of moves in and out of the slot and the outside. And I mean, they do move Diggs into the slot from time to time, but overall, Thielen's the main guy that's the wide receiver. He's the complimentary guy. That's the same thing, I think, with Demaryius and Emmanuel Sanders you were seeing there in Denver, but now you got DeAndre Hopkins as your one, you got Thomas as your two, and Kiki Kuti going to be filling in for the Will Fuller kind of speed route over the top guy. So I think this is a good thing. If you have Demaryius Thomas, you're happy. If he's on your waivers, like people have dropped him because he was playing so poor, go pick him up, please, because I think he's now going to be finally fantasy relevant. Now, if he starts dropping the ball, having issues there, then that's on him. Then we all know that it's his issues versus the offensive play calling. So
I think it ultimately helps out Deshaun Watson too.
Right.
I mean, with
yeah.
Fuller going down, that was a big weapon for him to lose. And now with Demaryius Thomas, I think it fills the void.
Right. And I think that helps. It might even help DeAndre Hopkins because, I mean, they're still going to probably have safety help over the top, but they're not going to be able to do that every time. Otherwise, Demaryius Thomas is going to beat them every time. So,
well, don't forget what Denver gets out of this. I mean, Cortland Sutton, I think you got to go get him now.
Right. If
his
he,
value's going skyrocket.
The guy we couldn't name last week, his name is Deshaun Hamilton from Penn State.
there it is.
He's going to have an expanded role now, I think, when he comes back from his injury or whatever. But they also got a 4th-round draft pick and a 7th-round draft pick to go towards next year's draft. So both sides worked out good in this trade.
Not bad at all.
Oh, and they saved $14 million in the cap next year, Denver, by getting rid of Thomas.
Ooh, maybe there's a guy out there that they could go, I don't know, maybe pick up that's going to be a free agent next year in the running back room.
Oh, maybe.
So,
Or a QB.
Or a quarterback. This is also true.
I'd rather go with that quarterback route, but that's just
true.
me.
Speaking of running backs, Le'Veon Bell did not report prior to the trade deadline. Shocking. And he did not report through the end of the day for the trade report. So
it's just a bad situation getting worse.
It's
for fantasy at least.
It looks bad on him for doing this, and with the way that Connor has been playing, it hurts him even more. If Connor would have been struggling this whole time, I think it would have been different. But he's like the number 2 back right now in fantasy.
Yeah, I think that Bell and his agent, I hope they have something up their sleeve or in their back pocket for this whole reason.
I just think this, to me, I keep leaning more and more this way now. He just doesn't want to play this year. He's not going to. Because I think if he wanted to really be on a different team and get money that way, he would have came in, signed his tender, and got traded. I just don't think he wants to play. I think he's going to come in last minute, sign the way he doesn't lose all the money.
Get one big paycheck and then call it.
And then it's going to be in and out all year. And I think Connor will still be the guy there and moving forward. And there's no positive. I haven't read anything that states that, but that's just how I'm kind of starting to lean and feel now.
Right. And, I mean, in all reality, like we said, with Bell, he's going to – unless something changes this weekend or next week, my best guess is he's going to show up like we said. I think he's just going to show up last minute possible because he has to be active for at least 6 games.
Yep.
So he's going to show up for, I forget which week that is. I think it's week, 11?
10, right?
10. Yeah.
He has
10.
to show up by week 10 and be active. So he'll show up, which is next week. So he'll just have to show up by next week, and he doesn't even have to play it down. He collects a paycheck. Right. He stays healthy. He doesn't take any more tread off the tires, and he's on a new team next year.
Well, think about it. Even if let's say he does come back and play after week 10, it's going to take him, what? Probably 2 weeks? Yeah. So now we're into week 13.
So you
might maybe get him by the playoffs.
Right, and by then he's not. I mean, Connor's already been in. He knows the deal. He's the hot guy right now. I wouldn't bench him for that.
Yeah, especially if Pittsburgh, because right now they're first in the North. If they're fighting for that playoff spot, I mean, you got to ride the guy that's been there all year and the hot hand.
And I think the team would notice that too. I know the team has respect for Le'Veon and they can't wait to get him back. Right. But at the same point, this Connor has been with you the whole time, fighting and grinding. It would be a slap in the face to do that.
Most definitely. So, all right, we've got some injuries to kind of keep an eye on. So let's get into the injuries report. Oh my, there it is.
My shoulder doesn't hurt
what's
very
called.
much, but my face does. Right here. Not here or here so much, but right here.
Nope. Ship shape.
All right, the Hurt Locker, the injury report. The Buccaneers running back Ronald Jones, the third, dealing with a hamstring injury, out 2 to 4 weeks. So
Peyton Barber, spark him up.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. This one's something to kind of keep an eye on. Cardinals running back David Johnson dealing with a concussion. He is officially in the concussion protocol and will be day-to-day. So something to kind of keep an eye on going forward, because the more that these potential, being a running back, he's going to take a hit. He's going to he's going to have to use the helmet as a battering ram. So I'm just saying something to keep an eye on for sure. And
positive things, he came back. Even after he left the game, he came back and finished. So
that is a positive sign. You just hope that there's no side effects or any relapse before the next game. So now this one, Redskins running back Chris Thompson is dealing with he re-injured his rib last week, and he is week to week. So to me, Adrian Peterson gets another uptick in being the main ball carrier at 34?
33. And they're playing Atlanta, who's got a weak rush defense.
Horrible defense.
Play Peterson.
Jeez. So, Chiefs wide receiver Tyreek Hill. Now, this is something that kind of caught my eye, was the groin strain that he's dealing with week to week, and he's a speedster. So, anytime anybody's dealing with a type of injury like that, specifically that muscle group, it's not fun to probably be out there and to use his speed. He's probably not going to be 100%, obviously, to run, and that's been his big thing, is being able to outrun some of these DBs and outrun them to the stop point, to cuts, and in and out. And that's going to be all the muscle that he's going to be using. And I'm not fading on him and saying he's going to have a bad rest of the year. I'm just saying it's going to be something that's potentially going to linger for the rest of the year, and you're just going to have to. They're going to probably baby him, and he may. I hate to say this, once they clinch the playoff spot and maybe the division, they might sit him.
Right.
To let him rest for the playoffs.
Well, just like the Cooper Kupp situation. Again, we have a team that's doing great. Necessarily don't need to win this week. I could see Tyreek Hill, sitting out a couple weeks, get rested up for the playoffs, because that's a playoff team, so they need him then.
Well, even if he plays, it's like Prickle said, he's not gonna be 100%.
Right.
So I would go out right now if I were you, and like with bye weeks going on, and try to snag up Sammy Watkins if you can.
Yeah.
Because I think he's going to see some. I think they're going to use Tyreek Hill as more. He's going to get his still, but I think that they're going to try to use him more in the decoy situation and not feed him as much and not use him as they have been, or try to maybe use Sammy Watkins a little bit more in that type of play. So, and then the Texans wide receiver Will Fuller has got a torn ACL, done, season-ending IR, unfortunately.
It stinks too.
Yeah.
So good thing that they made the trade. They were able to make a trade with the Denver for Demaryius Thomas, and Kiki Kuti's coming back. So they're going to hopefully be back to full strength. But to me, Will Fuller is just a different type of guy. He's just got a different gear of speed that he just kind of – and he doesn't look like he's really putting a whole lot of effort, and he just outruns guys. So
he's a speedster. Yeah. Thomas don't have that elite speed anymore, but he fills that void. He's a big body wide receiver. I think he'll fill in just fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and Lamar Miller, what do you know? Showed back up again.
Hey, he pops up every once in a while.
He decides he wants to show up, be relevant. So, it is what it is.
Sell high.
Right. Why you got the chance. So, all right, let's go ahead and get into this week's Trimboli's Meatball of the Week.
Welcome to Papa Trimboli's Italian Restaurante. Well, today is a special day because I've been getting all these questions. How you making your meatball, Papa? Well, here, today and today only, I give you the recipe. So listen closely and remember, these are the stinkiest and coldest meatballs you'll ever have. So to begin, you gotta grab yourself a little Drew Brees, throw it into the pot. Mix it up with a little Isaiah Crowell, a little Corey Clement, and don't forget that T.Y. Hilton. Never forget that T.Y. Hilton. Then you're going to need a little Kenny Galladay. You need to use Kenny Galladay now because you might not be able to use him in the future. Then mix in a little Jimmy Graham, that Jordy Nelson. Oh, then the Matt Prater. And then to give it the nice stink, you give it the Ravens defense. All that is how you make your special, cold, terrible meatballs from Papa Trimboli.
All right, let's get into the final segment of today. It's going to be the Thursday Night Primer presented by Fantasy Fateball.
This is the Thursday Night Primer.
All right, the Thursday Night Primer, Oakland at San Francisco, presented by Fantasy Fateball, the one and only Magic 8 Ball for fantasy football. 20 custom answers to help you make those critical start-sit decisions in the Sunday morning agony. Head over to fantasyfateball.com. Use the promo code HATEFUL8 for $5 off your purchase. All right. In this one, it's not the... I mean, Oakland's coming off a really good game. Minus Amari Cooper. Was he the issue? I don't know. We'll find out, I guess, maybe this week.
Right.
San Francisco has been pretty much meh since Jimmy G got injured and no Jerick McKinnon. And now you're kind of just dealing with what you got. Unfortunately.
Luckily, both defenses are bad.
Yeah.
And with a bye week where 6 teams are on byes, you actually have some fantasy-relevant players there.
True. So, Trimboli, you've got the good in this one. So, who is your good player for this game?
Well, my good is their number one receiving option is Jared Cook.
Yeah.
He's continued to be Carr's favorite target. And like I just said, the defenses are bad. 49ers ranked 21st against the tight end. Should be a big game for Cook.
I like it.
Yeah, most definitely. I was going to say, that was the biggest thing when Amari Cooper got traded out. I immediately was like, well, somebody's going to have to pick up the slack. And the guy that Blackburn's going to mention was initially thought maybe this guy's going to pick up the slack. But unfortunately, he did not this past week.
I thought Jordy would pick it up too.
Well, I thought the wide receivers in general would, but neither one of them did. So on to the bad, Blackburn. Who do you have?
It is none other than Martavius Bryant.
Oh, man.
Like Trimboli said, all these matchups are good across the board from each one of these teams. Like, they're all green.
Yeah.
So, like, all these guys should really do well. But I think Martavius Bryant is going to struggle the most. Cook is going to get the most work. Jordy's going to get sprinkled in there. And last week, Bryant was only on the field for 7 offensive snaps against the Colts. Yeah. 7.
Wow.
That's not going to get it done.
No, that's horrible.
Yeah.
That's actually really bad.
You can't have volume or targets when you're only on for that little.
True. This is true. So, mine, I ended up putting for the ugly, I put Matt Breida. And it's because it's not the most prettiest play. I mean, let's put it this way. Everything was all pointing towards him not playing. And it was Raheem Mostert was going to be the guy. Breida was limited and or didn't practice. And then he had a full practice on Friday and was like, hey, he's actually going to play. And I'm like, okay, limited touches is what they said. They lied. Kyle Shanahan lied.
Go figure. A head coach lied to you?
Right.
Man.
So San Francisco, I didn't put it in my notes here. Matt Breida, for week 8, in his limited day, he saw 16 carries for 42 yards. 16 carries. That doesn't sound like he's limited.
Listen, what did I tell you a few weeks back? Breida plays even through the bye week somehow.
Yeah. So now I did look at it. Oakland just gave up a 200-yard rushing game to the Indianapolis Colts. Marlon Mack and Nyheim Hines specifically.
That Mack, though.
Listen, Mack is on something else right now.
He is. So I'm just saying, even if you get half of what you got out of the Colts run game for Matt Breida, that still puts you in line for somewhere around, we'll say, 10 fantasy points without any type of receiving options or receiving targets or any receiving yards or touchdowns. I'm banking on him somewhere in that middle of the road. So anywhere from like 9 to 12 is what I'm figuring, just based on the fact that this offense is going to have to move the ball. Oakland's defense is horrible, like you said, and I know you can't really. So I'm just saying, I think Matt Breida has the potential. Now, if something there's a setback of any kind, then Raheem Mostert gets plugged in instead. But either way, whoever.
I think Breida's a fine play here. Like I said, again, 6 teams on bye weeks, and they're big teams. I mean, so you're going to need to find a running back somewhere.
Yeah. So Matt Breida came out and showed out. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting for fantasy purposes, but overall, I can't even look at him. So anyway, so not the most exciting defensive game in this matchup, but offensively, if the Raiders show up like they did last week offensively, and somehow San Francisco can play to the strength of their offense, which is George Kittle and Matt Breida, then they should be okay.
There's good matchups all over the board. Both defenses are such trash. It's not even funny.
Yeah. So
speaking of which, tight ends have been so up and down all year. This is one game where you can play them both.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is the perfect spot to play both of these tight ends for sure. And unfortunately, unless you're in a double tight end league or your tight end could be a flexed out, you're having to put him in the tight end spot, and it's done for the week. So I mean, I'm going to play Kittle this week, and I'm just going to have to cross my fingers and hope that he does well. But
listen, the Raiders are the one good spot for them on defense is against the tight end, but there's no receiving options in San Francisco. The volume alone should be enough for Kittle.
Yeah, Goodwin he's a boomer bust guy.
Exactly.
So I'm on board with playing Kittle this week. I'm just hoping that there's more upside than down. So anyways, all right. Well, I want to tell you guys thanks again for tuning in to today's show via the YouTube. If you're watching, you get to see these glorious costumes.
Yeah.
If you're just listening to the podcast, you can go to the YouTube channel and look out and see Thanos, Captain America, and Thor. But also, just want to tell you guys, make sure you check out the site, thehateful8ff.com, where you can find your weekly in-season articles, whether that's the trades, starts and sits, waivers. If you play DFS talk as well. So make sure you follow our personal accounts at jpickleTH8FF, at jblackburnTH8FF, and at ftrimTH8FF. Don't forget to join the Average Joe Nation via the show and for our patron tab on the site, where you can get your in-season weekly help. All the guys that we've been helping on a weekly basis, that's been kind of using the help cheat sheets and everything else on a weekly basis, they're all in first or second place right now with I know 2 of them are only, I think, have lost 1 game.
Nice.
So they're all doing really well. So anything else?
Farewell, Average Joe Nation.
Oh, man.
From us at the podcast, have a happy and safe Halloween.
Yes. Please be safe out there. Unfortunately, it is dark when you're trick-or-treating, so with your kids, if you got kids, also be safe. So
yeah, be scared of Fabi over here. Right. Or Thor, whatever you call it.
Jeez. All right, thanks again. We will see you guys for the Week 9 episode.
One more time. There ain't no one like these 3. You know you just heard Pickle, Blackburn, and Trimboli. Give the goods talking about nothing but fantasy football. Yeah, it's your year to dominate and to wear that ring. Prepare for the draft and dial in on your craft. Quarterback, the first round is a good choice, you ask? This guy's got first round pick, a favorite? Not so fast. He failed to tune into Hateful Eight. He's a chump finishing last.